To be precise, it's been 4,713,000,000 seconds we've been making watches. It all started in Le Brassus, a small village that went on to do rather big things. Thanks to its villages, people as wild and stubborn as the very landscapes that surrounded them. People saying yes to challenges when reality emphatically said no. A family believing in the importance of taking our sweet time when the world chose otherwise. Focusing, crafting, dreaming. Together as one, we are possessed by an untamable desire to seek beyond the ordinary. A century and a half later, we're still that village. We're still those villages. And the beat goes on.
Hey guys, what's up? Original OC with you on the Original OC channel. It is Thursday, the 27th of February, 2025. It is time for our Thursday evening stream. And we are still discussing the fantastic new releases from AP. AP has knocked it out of the park. Home run from AP. And we're going to be reviewing the aftermath of the drop of the 2025 novelties. And we will be gathering your sentiment. By the way, there's a poll question that has been initiated. And the poll question is as follows. Now that the 2025 Audemars Piguet novelties have dropped, how likely are you to start or continue the journey with AP? What do you think? Have these releases made you more inclined or less inclined to support the AP brand? Your choices are far more likely, somewhat less likely, or far less likely. How do you feel? How have these novelties impacted your commitment to the Audemars Piguet brand? How have they impacted your thoughts about maybe starting the journey with AP? I got to tell you, I'm already on the journey with AP in some way, shape, or form. So I don't want to bias you with my thoughts just yet. I would like to hear your thoughts, but let's get to at least 25 votes in the poll. We'll let people trickle in. The other thing I want to do is remind people that, number one, the link to join the stream is in the chat. It's probably not pinned because we have the poll running, but it's there in the chat. If you want to jump on the panel, feel free. Number two, upvote the live stream. We already have 20 people watching. Let's try to get to 10 likes. Let's get to 10 likes. Let's get some of this administrative stuff out of the way, if possible. Number three, if you have a star next to your name, that means you are a member of the Original OC channel. That's good. Make sure that you have if you have a member milestone chat available, please be sure to use it before the end of the month. You do that by clicking on the currency icon. Click on the currency icon next to the chat where you give a comment. Make sure you don't have one that goes unused. Number four, if you're not a member and you'd like to become a member because the channel is so fucking awesome, there is a link to become a member of the Original OC channel. Become a member today. We have memberships that start as low as $200 a month, which is a Bargain. Absolute bargain. All right. Boom. Okay, administrative stuff out of the way. Original OC channel, Thursday night. Let's get going. The poll question is, now that the 2025 Audemars Piguet novelties have dropped, how likely are you to start or continue your journey with AP? Let us know in the chat. I think we want to get to 50 votes. How about that? I'd like to see 50 fat votes in the chat. Really want to get a good sampling of everybody. I think this one that we have on the screen, this release right here is the hottest release. I mean, the perpetual calendars are nice, but I think they really knocked it out of the park with this one. This is freaking gorgeous. Is it a tad pricey? Sure, it's a little pricey, but they really, really nailed it with this one. It is the a Code 1159 reference with the blue Tuscan dial, diamond baton indices, blue ceramic mid case. This is in white gold with the blue ceramic mid case, and no date. They eliminated the date for this one, which makes it extremely symmetrical, very sleek, and I think very cool. This is a flyback chronograph. It's pretty good. I think this one is a home run. Definitely a home run. Now, let's see who's in the chat. We've got Logan Hall first. Great to have you here, Logan. Thank you for being here. Logan's a member. We have CN. Cheers, OC. AP crew reporting in. CN, I'm not sure if I know who you are, but welcome to the channel. The shimmery green stone dial is sublime. Which one is that? I didn't see a shimmery green stone dial. Let me know what you're talking about. I'm confused. I didn't see any green shimmery anything. We've got Boston Collector, who's a member, reminding everybody to upvote the live stream. We already have 10 likes, so we are well underway. We've got Gatsby, also a member, one of our top members. Thank you, Gatsby, for being here. That AP commercial was nonsensical, incoherent, a visual cacophony. Yes, I know how to pronounce that. And needlessly expensive. It sums up the brand perfectly. Well, you're probably right. It's a beautiful commercial, but I think it's about celebrating the history of the brand. Boston Collector jumping in here. The Audemars Piguet journey is not for everyone. That's right. It's a private club, guys. It is a private, exclusive club. Not everybody can get in. Not all pansies are admitted. If you don't like their watches, that's good. There are lots of other brands out there who are dying to sell you something. That's right. You can buy some of their undesirable watches from other brands. But if you want desirable watches that are great, then the AP journey it may be right for you. Ask AP if AP is right for you. We've got CN, forgotten by OC. That's a new one. No. Never forgotten. But you haven't been here for a while. Yeah, been a while though. Yeah, I knew it. The name is familiar, but you just have not been. If you'd been here for a while, then you'd be a moderator, because everybody who's a regular, like almost everybody who's a regular viewer, is a moderator on the channel. So tell you what, CN, the more I see you in the chat, that's good. And maybe you'll become a moderator too. We've got CQ the Watch Guy. What's up, chat? CQ of Gottlieb and Company. We have no shortage of very knowledgeable and willing consultants in the industry, and Gottlieb and Company is one of them. Learn more at gottliebandco.com. That's CQ the Watch Guy. Got Mr. Fahrenheit in the chat. Holy shit, we have over 30 people watching. I just launched the stream 2 seconds ago. That's awesome. You guys are phenomenal. Let's get to 20 likes. Let's get to 20 likes. I'm going to remind everybody that there's a poll running. So please check out the poll. We need at least, we want 50 people voting in the poll. There's also a link to join the channel if you want. We've got BW to join the panel. BW from Florida. Good evening, everyone. Hey, we got Ghost of Yiddish Gambino. GYG. GYG. Pretty young thing. Hey, watch people. Ghost of Yiddish Gambino from the Watch Hangout is in the chat. Got St. Peter. Yo, OC. God, this is what an incredible group of people we got so far. The poll question, by the way, is now that the 2025 AP novelties have dropped, how likely are you to start or continue your journey with AP? Please vote in the chat and jump on the panel and share your opinions. God, we got a bunch of really, really good people in the chat tonight. Helgestrant is SC a member here? Who's SC? His video about his new Patek was very good, uploaded yesterday. I think. Who's SC? No need to give acronyms. I don't know who SC is, but SC. All the people who are smart watch collectors are a member of the channel or subscribed here. That's pretty much a given that if you are anybody in this industry or a really good collector, you are a viewer. Gatsby says a moving conveyor belt sidewalk, foldable houses, and an elevator to 3 moons celebrates exactly nothing. About the history of the brand. It's creative masturbation. Geez, that's a big word. Big word like gymnasium. From a millennial marketing team. I take it you're not a fan of the advertising. You are not a fan of the advertising, Gatsby. That's cool. Let's get to 20 likes, guys. 20 likes. CQ says, agreed, Gatsby. It was a marketing grab. There's a love fest going on in the chat. We've got CN who says, CQ is a boss, as well as OC. Thank you very much. I appreciate that sentiment. Hey, look at this. We got St. Peter, member for 1 month. Thank you for being a member. Appreciate it. I'm glad you renewed. Or please renew. Please renew your membership. Make sure it doesn't terminate. I would really appreciate that. Thank you to OC and the generous community for the membership gift. I was in the Diamond District today shopping for a rock for a lucky lady. Wow. I bought a rock on 47th Street. God, when was that? That was in 2005, 20 years ago. I bought a rock in 2005 from R&R Jewelers on 47th Street. I bought what I think was like a carat and a half diamond or something like that. It was to celebrate our 10-year anniversary. I had my wife's ring upgraded with a kind of a bigger. She had a smaller carat, so I got her like a 1.5 carat or something. 2 carat. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I only paid $7,000 back then for the diamond, and it's worth like $20,000 today. Now I understand that the price of natural diamonds is kind of going down. There's a lot of pressure from lab grown diamonds, and it's there's a lot going on in that industry. But congratulations to the lucky lady, St. Peter. I saw St. Peter, by the way, in where did I see him? In New York. New York at Club Macanudo. He was at a table with young Brando having cigars. That was the night of the that was the night of the infamous he slipped. He slipped. Most of you don't know what I'm talking about. It's an inside joke, but that was the night that the Colony took over Club Macanudo in New York City last October. No Biggie Sal. No Biggie Sal is in the chat. Satan demanded I upvote. Yes, he did. And we do have more than 20 likes. So you guys are on track. I really appreciate that. The fact is, says Gatsby, the AP makes some gorgeous pieces, but their marketing team is an absolute clown show. All they're missing is Sam Smith singing in a thong. I don't want to envision that. I don't want to envision that. Got John D in the chat. What's up, John D? Good evening, gents. Hope everyone is having a great second half of the week so far. Yes, we are. It's almost Friday. And for you working people, that means the last day of the week. For some of you. So let's see how things are going in the poll. We want to get to 50 votes. We are well on the way. The election is well underway. Now that the 2025 novelties have dropped, how likely are you to start or continue the journey with AP? Let's see how the voting goes in the chat. Oh, by the way, I want to say hi to Darth Simon. Darth Simon, I don't want to reveal who he is. Hey, when are we going for more matzo ball soup, brother? I met up with Darth Simon in Jersey a few weeks ago, and we had lunch at a I don't think it wasn't a kosher deli, but it was kind of like a Jewish deli. I had lunch with Darth Simon, with Captain. Who else was there? Captain and JJ. Was JJ there? No, JJ didn't come. Who else was there? Captain, Darth Simon. I feel bad. Jeez, I don't remember. My memory, man. There was one other person there. Darth Simon will remember. But yeah, by the way, you can feel free to drop the link. Tell you what, Darth Simon, I'll give you a wrench. Feel free to drop the link to your establishment in the chat. Helgestron says Sam Smith in a thong being normalized in pop culture is concerning. Yes, it is. It is. No, I remember you, Darth Simon. I remember your real name too. I'm just not going to dox you. So, but feel free to drop the. Let me see if I can find the link to your establishment. And let me know if you want me to drop the link or not. Let's see here. Holy shit, we've got almost 40 people watching already. That's insane. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'll drop the link for the panel. Feel free to jump on. Hey, we got McAllen Drinker in the chat. We've got Captain. It was Captain, me, Darth Simon, and there was someone else there. Who was it? Yeah, check it out. StogieSampler.com, guys. Check out Stogie Sampler. The link is in the chat. By the way, I want to bring something to your attention, which is quite fascinating. We've been discussing this all day, actually. Check this out. This is really quite interesting. So, all right, make this a little bigger here. All right, so this is a story or a reel that was dropped by Swatch. I almost said Omega. Dropped by the Swatch groups. We covered yesterday that the Swatch is introducing a new MoonSwatch 1965 model. And they did something very, very interesting here in this Instagram post. They have this unique packaging here. And now what they did is they actually created bioceramic versions. Look at this right here. What is that? Oh, look at that. They actually created bioceramic versions of 3 watches that were submitted to NASA for evaluation to go to the moon, to be part of the Apollo missions and the space race and the moon landing missions. Okay. Those 3 brands were Whittower, Omega, and Rolex. Okay. Those 3 brands submitted watches to NASA for consideration and evaluation. What Swatch has done is actually created bioceramic versions of all 3 watches. So not only do they have a Swatch version of the Omega that was submitted to NASA and is now going on sale on March 1st. It's called the MoonSwatch 1965. But they actually created a bioceramic version of the Whittower, which isn't even theirs. And in addition to that, they created a bioceramic version of the Rolex. They actually made a bioceramic version of the Rolex watch. They didn't put the crown on it for obvious reasons. You can see the X there. The X is where where Rolex would be written. That's the X where the X would be in Rolex. There, where it's touching the second hand. I think this is unprecedented that they actually would do this. So they created, they made bioceramic recreations of all 3, and you can see these 3 watches on display at Swatch boutiques. Now, what's fascinating is, do you get all 3 watches? I think this is pretty dang cool. I mean, I think they have some balls on them to actually recreate, to make a version of the Rolex and put it in their display cases. I mean, these are pretty faithful recreations too. What do you guys think of that? Sorry, I can't make it bigger. But let me see if I can find a big version of that somewhere. If somebody knows where there's a big version of that, let me know and I will pull up the big versions. Oh, I think I have them on WhatsApp. Yeah. That's what I did. Hold on a second. I will just email them to myself. let's see here. Boom. Photos. Yeah, that. All right. Hey, what's up, CQ?
What's going on? Good evening.
To you. Let me pull up this image here.
These are interesting.
Very interesting, right? Let me just save this one as sorry guys, there's a little bit of dead air while I pull these up.
Like, comment, subscribe. You guys know what to do.
Yeah, you know what to do.
Let's get the
Listen to
numbers
CQ.
up. We got 40 people in there. We got 21 likes. Let's pump it up for the best watch community on the tube.
Yeah. And since Tea and Tickers isn't streaming tonight, upvote here instead.
There you go. There you go. I don't know who that is. These watches are interesting though.
Okay, let me pull this up here. Okay, pictures.
So does that mean there's somebody in Asia right now making bioceramic 6238s?
Yeah,
The people
does
want
mean that. And
do we know where these are made, by the way? I never asked that.
No.
I mean, like Swatch watches are made in Switzerland, right? So I imagine these are too. I think, I don't know. That's my research mission for tomorrow. They should just sell these sets and just poke fun at Rolex. Why not? It helps the bottom line.
Wittauer.
Swatch Group is doing some interesting things. So Mega's on a good run, I think. The MoonSwatch situation, they've kind of figured out how to keep milking it. I think the only thing they do wrong with the MoonSwatches is making people line up in front of expletive Swatch stores in the mall. That's all I say. I think that's one of the worst experiences you could have to attain anything. And like, especially watch related, especially since like at this price point, this is supposed to be a gift or easy get. Just make your money. Let us give you your money. Like, don't do the whole, I'm sorry, I waited 3 hours for a friend, and it was probably like the worst thing I did since like waiting for Halo back in game design school. So PTSD. Look at this thing.
So this is the Wittauer. The Wittauer. So it's a complete recreation of the Wittauer in bioceramic. And then you have this one, which is a bioceramic recreation of the Rolex that was submitted to NASA.
Smart, just keep it blank. They should sell that. They should sell it.
But it's not bland. This is how it looked.
Right, because it was sent for the test, right?
Yeah. So it has. Imagine there's a crown where the big X is, and imagine that where the X is on the dial. There we go. Look at that. Oops. That would be the X in Rolex.
Oh, I see.
See?
Now it all makes sense.
So yeah, so that's the 1-for-1 design. A pre-Daytona, as Boston Collector says, chronograph that was submitted to NASA. Pretty ballsy.
Hey, but why not, man? Why not? I think Swatch Group historically has been a ballsy brand, and Mr. Hayek, RIP, was a ballsy person. And like, why not? What was the worst that could happen? You know what I mean? Like, ooh, we sold.
They're not going to get sued because if Rolex tried to send them, like if Rolex made a big deal out of this, it would create tons of publicity for Swatch.
Exactly. So like, and they crossed the line perfectly. If they put Rolex on it, then it'd be a big thing. But like, honestly, you sell these, people at Rolex will buy these. It's a fun watch. It's in that category where nobody cares. It's going to be the whatever movement is bioceramic that's going to disintegrate after 4 or 5 years. So you're not trying to say it's anything like that. And it's actually like,
Did you just say the case will disintegrate after a few years?
I don't know. You always see things. You see things on Reddit. The one that I have looks pretty good and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's either ceramic or it's whatever. But like, I don't know. I'm very weirded out with just because we can trademark things, we shouldn't trademark it, right? If you tell me that, like, hey, this is a case that's meant to disintegrate, well, I'm not saying that it does, please don't, but like, just when you say something bioceramic, it makes you think like, hey, I wear it for 5 to 6 years, it stops working, I plant it, and like a sunflower will pop with my kid in like a year or something. It's just a very weird name, so it makes you think it'll disintegrate. I don't know. I'm sorry.
We have nearly 50 people watching this nonsense. I'm not quite sure why, but there's a poll question running and we need to get to 50 votes. So everybody who's watching, please pay attention to the poll question. The question is, now that the 2025 AP novelties have dropped, how likely are you to start or continue the journey with AP? Please vote in the poll. We need to get to 50 votes for it to reach statistical significance. Let me ask you, CQ, as a watch fan, how do these releases make you feel about the brand? Far more excited, somewhat excited, or less excited about the direction of the brand and your willingness, if you were a customer, to start or continue along with the journey? Hypothetical, because you're probably not buying APs at retail for your personal collection.
No. And even if like I wasn't in the industry, I still wouldn't. Some of my favorite APs are previous references that they don't make anymore. So for me, and like right now, the prices are amazing on the secondary market. Royal Oak offshore themes are going under retail and things like that. So for me, this is nice. I like to see the direction. I like the new perpetual calendar. I was waiting for something a little bit more wild, but we're only in February. So like, Watches and Wonders and all the good things are coming up. And I'm sure there'll be other, there's Dubai Watch Week as well. So I'm sure they'll do something special down there. But yeah, it's nice. I like that the code is figuring itself out, right? I like the code it's being refined, because I hate to, when watches are duds and we all like, we shit on them, we forget that there are people who did spend their time working on these watches, right? And for whatever reason, we don't like them, but we don't know. It's not so many people's fault as why certain watches don't work. So I like when watches can figure themselves out, because that's a lot of people's, like, a lot of man hours that don't go to waste there. So I like this piece. I like the skeleton perpetual. I see there's like a big back and forth going on. About, they said that this watch was a tribute to a pocket watch, but they also made another Royal Oak Perpetual that was very similar to the one that they already made. There's a lot of back and forth on the setting system. Is it that revolutionary? Who cares? Listen, the big thing with a perpetual calendar is, you want to put some good quality of life things in there. So this was their big quality of life improvement, letting you set it directly from the crown. Other watches have very similar systems as well, and they've been around for a while. But I think it's revolutionary for AP, but I don't think it's something where we need to bow down for them. I mean, IWC has been giving you that forever. Maybe you don't like a big pile of perpetual, but the technology exists,
Mm-hmm. I want to say hello to Julius Caesar in the chat. Chalk flew up. I mean, everybody's in the chat tonight. This is a Whole Milk's here. By the way, you mentioned the prices on the secondary market. This particular reference, which is the code 1159 perpetual calendar of entry and dial, this is still in the current catalog, but it's going out. It's pretty much done, because this is as the old perpetual calendar movement. This lists for 109,000 retail. One sold on Moda on the 25th, which was 2 days ago. You want to know the price?
Tell me.
51,000.
Oh, I was gonna say that. I was gonna say it's around 50.
That
Makes
is just
sense.
it's an incredible deal.
Yeah,
Absolute incredible deal.
To me,
I
they've
mean,
turned into one of the better brands to buy in the secondary market all of a sudden.
yeah, but that makes it that brings up a really challenging situation for collectors who are building purchase history and authorized journeys with the brand. It's like very, very. I mean, if you even let on that you're considering buying these things in secondary, they think to themselves, "Wait a minute, does he not want to continue the journey with us?" Of course, we know that. I mean, the problem is it's just so far under retail.
So you're right. You're right. It is far under retail, and the retail is 108, and so like plus sales tax, right? And like I said in the last time I was here, is like brands are not being friendly to help you to ship to your friend in Delaware and New Hampshire anymore. So
Mhm.
108 plus sales tax for that, and then like so if somebody's selling it for 51 on Moda, what did they buy it for? 47? You know, I don't even know what I could have checked for one of these personally. It's a great watch, it's great technology, but AP fumbled the launch of the watch, and this came out when these were launched. And you really have to really think, is the journey worth it? What watch, right? What watch is it
How
worth?
long, CQ, how long are you going to say, how long are people going to blame the launch of the Code 1159 for the situation now? That was like 7 years ago.
It
I
doesn't
mean,
matter. It doesn't matter. It's all, your first impression is your only impression, especially in watches. We're talking tens of thousands, hundreds. I don't want to wear $100,000 watch that any of my friends are gonna go in the corner and be like, I don't know, man. It just
sure.
doesn't feel good. It
You're
just
saying
doesn't.
no matter how good they make this line, like look at this watch. Look what
It's a
they did.
it's a great watch. It's a
It's
great
white
watch.
gold, blue ceramic. It's got a different dial. It's got diamond baguettes. They
Yep.
removed the date for symmetry.
Yep.
This is a home run. Now, is it overpriced or is it
Yeah,
ambitiously
but everything's
priced?
overpriced.
85,000. But I mean, I mean, I love it, but who's going to buy it
No.
thinking that it's going to be 45,000 in secondary in a few months?
Oh, I love it at 45. I buy it at 45. Oh, see, that's the right price for it. See, and that's the problem with the world we're living today, right? Retail prices have gone so crazy. It's so insane that like these are your options. This is 85 grand. And it's like that's a 45,000, maybe it'll settle in the 60s or something like that. If they could get some celebrities to wear some codes, and if they can get the sex appeal on it. But like that's look at that perpetual. That perpetual was the hottest thing out. I know plenty of people who paid 80, 90, $100,000 for that watch. That was the hot when that first came out. But you know, you know,
It's
yeah.
gorgeous now. It's gorgeous now.
Yeah. I mean, who else is giving you a stepped aventurine dial with all the history of a perpetual calendar, revolutionary model, blah, blah, blah. But as somebody who's in the business, I could tell you that just sits. There's unique people who want this watch and they get it as soon as they release. And you talk about this journey. I just think there's certain brands where the journey, I'm weird now. The journey is worth it. And there's other brands where you really, really got to think, what am I getting out of this experience, right? What like for me to be on the list for the 150th anniversary pieces, what am I getting? They fumbled the 50th anniversary or whatever the last anniversary was very badly with collectors who spent a lot of money with them all over. I thought it was just the Middle East. I keep saying the story, but it still reigns true today. We're like heavy guys who are heavy AP guys. Like they're like, okay, nice, but they're not like, it's not like Paddock, where it's like, oh, you really think about losing it. You really think about losing that relationship, right? Because you don't know what's the next watch that's going to be the next Nautilus that used to be 20 something thousand. And then you hold on to it for 10, 15 years. And a guy like me calls you and say, hey, you want 150 for it right now? And you're like, what? That thing? And like that Paddock you think about, other brands out there, if your wife loves jewelry, whatever you think about, okay, you think about the whole picture. Rolex, you think about, because again, when people just get the Daytona, if your relationship is good enough, you're just getting Daytonas or whatever, you're not even thinking about it. And then a guy like me is like, oh, cool Daytona, I'll give you 30 grand. You're like, what? Like I had 50 grand at one point. With AP, what watch is doing that for me? Right? What am I paying hundreds of thousands of dollars, kissing your butt, doing all these things where I can't just collect your back catalog and get all these other great watches? There's nothing that they can make now that I've seen that would make me be like, oh my God, they've done it already. They've done amazing things already. And like I said on the other show, it's two ponies now. It's the Code and the Royal Oak, and the Code will always be the stepchild. And you've done every Royal Oak you could ever think about. So, and the prices are crazy, and I can't get them. And like, even, so it's like a very weird situation with AP. And then you look at the commercials and they're not even paying tribute to their history. So I really don't know who the watches are for. And this watch trading at 52 now, that it's really like sinking in what you said, that's insane that this watch traded at 52. That's wild.
Yeah, there's a Patek Philippe inline perpetual calendar that is the same. It retails for 155,000, I believe. The inline perpetual calendar, 5236.
That makes more sense.
And that goes for 75, 80,000. In second. So, it's just amazing how far these watches fall off of their retail price.
Well, that's a great point. But even with that Patek, that's such a unique watch, right? That inline perpetual calendar. You have to be somebody who really appreciates perpetual calendars and really appreciate horology to dig that watch. So that watch is never going to be a super hot watch, because like most people want a traditional perpetual like this. This should be a hit. Rose gold aventurine dial perpetual calendar. Like, there's no way this is trading 50 cents on the dollar. So that means this is what, like in IWJG, this is a $45,000 watch. That's wild. I'm getting one of these. Oh man, let the business, let me get on my legs. I want to do an unboxing of one of these soon.
Boston Collector says codes are better than any. Ooh, this is a bold statement. Than any current Breguet or Jaeger LeCoultre. They are worth their price tag. The prices are the reality of where the whole market is. In other words, guys, these are luxury timepieces. There are plenty of customers who can afford to buy them at their retail prices, and there's no shortage of customers who are willing to do it and be part of the journey. So that's just the price you got to pay to play. It's the price to be a part of buying extremely high-end luxury watches these days. It's like complaining that you can't, like, you walk into the Ferrari dealership. It's like, oh, well, these are overpriced. Well, they're overpriced because they're not for you. And if you're saying you want APs but you can't afford them, then newsflash, you're not you're not worthy of the brand. It's a club that is designed. The price is one of the factors that they use to keep people out of the club.
It's sad because, like, you're saying it in jest, but
I'm not saying it in jest.
No, you're not. This is like, I want to think you're being jestful.
It's the truth. It's the truth. The club. One of the ways you keep people out of the club and keep it exclusive is by making these things expensive. And if you can't afford to pay $100,000 for a perpetual calendar, it's like buying a Porsche 911 and complaining about the price of the oil changes. If you can't afford the cost, it's a good. These are good. This is a fantastic watch in secondary.
Oh yes, no doubt about it. This is a great watch, and it's crazy that, like, you're saying all that, and like in the rooms higher up, that's what people are thinking. Because I think a lot of people have forgotten what luxury is, so they think luxury is exclusivity, and exclusivity is a part of luxury, but it's not the main ingredient in luxury at all. And you're so right, though. People are like, listen, let's keep the prices high. Let's just aim it at a very nouveau rich clientele. There are more people every year, and that's gonna carry us. And like, it might, but look at mainland China right now. I look at all the luxury brands that are crying because mainland China turned into undercover luxury, and nobody wants to be too showy, and they're crying. and it can happen very easily here. We're already seeing how the macroeconomic situation is and the wealth divide. At a certain point, you'll feel way better wearing like a Jorn or like a Moritz Grossman or something weird and funky that nobody knows about versus this big club that everybody knows about and everybody on the street can see me wearing my AP. So you got to really think about and be careful, you know, with what you're doing there, because I like the brand a lot, but I don't know. Shout out Whole Milk, by the way, for subbing to my new channel. He's a good guy. Good guy.
Yeah, let's
Look at this brigade. This is nice.
Don't feel free to drop the link to your channel in the chat. Let me see if I can find it. If I
all right, well, I just scroll YouTube looking for deals, and I'm trying a new format. So give me some feedback. I'll drop it in the channel.
Yeah, just drop it in the chat and subscribe to CQ's new channel. By the way, this is the Breguet Classique perpetual calendar, reference 5327. This one retails for $83,000. And this visually is kind of a mess, right?
Yeah, they're trying to do it a little too much there. But it's Breguet, right? And side note, Breguet probably some of the best watches you could buy secondary to get like high-end watchmaking, high-end, you know, guilloche dials and things like that. But with that moon phase on top, you just like it's a big pimple on the forehead. Beautiful watch though.
Much rather have AP. By the way, I want you to take out your everybody in the chat, everybody watching, get a piece of paper and a pencil, because I want you to jot down a few things. And what we're going to do is I want everybody to kind of pay attention. We're going to do some educational stuff here. We're going to now, of course, the functionality of the perpetual calendar movement has been completely overhauled. Instead of using the push pins, the pinholes, whatever they call it, the pushers, everything is now done through the crown. But look at how they've changed the layout of the dial. And I want everybody to just count all the different things that they've done. Make this a little bit bigger. And all right, check this out. So number one, look at the week of the year ring. Okay, on the old perpetual calendar, they have 52 at the top. Okay, write this down. I'll write all this stuff down. This is point number one.
Oh, think about pad.
Yeah, get your pad and pen, everybody. Guys, get your pads, get your pens. We're gonna do some edumacation.
Where's my pen? Oh no.
We're gonna be visually comparing the old perpetual calendar movement to the new one. Now, we'll also be going through the functionality, but for now, let's just focus on the aesthetics and the design. Okay. So they have the 52 at the top, and everything goes in even increments. So it goes 02, 04, 06, etc. around the dial for a week of the year. Now, if you look at the subdials, at the 9 o'clock, you've got the day of the week, and it starts with Sunday at the top. Okay, make a note of that. Sunday at the top for the day of the week. The middle subdial, the one at the 12 o'clock, is a combination of the month of the year and the leap year indicator. Okay, and this one, they have a dash at the top, which represents December. Okay, so January is off to the right. And so it goes dash, then January, then dash, then March, then dash, then May, right? And then the leap year indicator is 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, on the right, on the 3 o'clock dial, you have the day of the month, and you have a red 31 at the top. So you have 31 at the top, and then it has the infamous 311. So it has 31, then a no dot in between, then a 1. So then it starts the odd counting of the days of the month. 1 -3 -5 -7 -9 -11. Got it? So that's the layout of the old perpetual calendar. Now, did you get all that? I know it was a lot to write down.
Yep, I got it. I got my pad here.
You got it? Okay. Yep. Now, let's look at the layout of the new perpetual calendar. Okay. Now you don't have 52 at the top anymore. You have a 1 at the top.
Which I don't know if I like.
I don't know if I like it either. But instead of doing 0, 02, 04, 06, you have 1 -3 -5. So it's all odd numbers. for the number of the week of the year. That's just point number one to think about. Now, in the 9 o'clock subdial, you've got the day of the week, and you have a 24-hour counter. The 24-hour counter is new. That's kind of cool. I like it. And I like the placement of it. But instead of Sunday being the first day of the week, Monday is now the official first day of the week. Interesting. Did you notice that? So Monday is now at the top.
It's very interesting.
Monday is now the first day of the week.
I don't know if it's just because like it's new, it's changed, that, you know, like maybe I prefer things the old way. I don't know if I dislike, like there's nothing wrong with Monday starting the week, but what starts a calendar, Sunday or Monday?
Exactly. Well, we're not done yet. So let's look at the 12 o'clock subdial, which now doesn't have the month of the year. It has the day of the month. They moved it. They moved the day of the month from the right subdial to the center subdial, and there's no 311 anymore. So there's no 311. There's no 31 at the top and then 1 off to the side. They start with 1 at the top. And they go, look at this very, very carefully, CQ. 1.3.5.7.
Oh, that's what they're talking about. See, now that doesn't make sense, right? If you're gonna, because the 311 was it was endearing, you know. It's like me, I got a little tummy. The ladies like it, but like you put the 7 and 8 without the dot. That just
the dot represents a date. So 1.2 means 1 dot. The dot is a 2. 3.5 the dot when the
why
the,
do that?
is,
right? Oh no.
Yeah, so that it goes from 7 to 8 there.
And you know, this is something that you know for sure somebody brought up in a meeting, and somebody higher up was like, "Oh, they're not gonna care. They're not gonna care." And now I get to say that you guys cut a corner there. Old AP, what's that? That aesthetically is not pleasing.
Just a reminder, here's the old AP. 31 in red. It's not in red in all of them, but this is typical Patek Philippe design too. They have a 3 it's known as a 311, right? So, but
because like you got to do it. It's the only way, because it's 31. It's 1. The needle, the hand really has so much room, and you're trying to fit it. Like it was everybody kind of acknowledged a long time ago that like the fact that we're even making something like this is extraordinary. So a few things are going to be a little, like your leap year is going to be weird. Sometimes you're going to have a 311. Nobody cared until, today. And now you give me a 7 and an 8. And now, like, I can't buy this watch. I just sent my
by the way,
text.
The joke going around is it's 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, and there's no 9. So it goes 8.10. And there's no 31 either. There's a dot where the 31 is. So you can honestly say that if you look at this month of day of the month, 7, 8, 9.
Was there a 4? No, there wasn't a 4 on the other dial, right?
On the other dial, CQ, if you recall, it is.
I didn't put that in my notes.
It's a 1.
No 4, okay.
It goes odd, but it goes odd, and so it shows the 31 because you start with 1. It shows a 31, and then there's no dot between the 31 and 1 because that's the next day. That's where people always had an issue with that, but it's far better than this.
Yeah, this is kind of weird. Like if I had the pull, I'd probably ask them to give my dial, give me a piece unique, and just fix it. Yeah. You didn't even got to do anything crazy, because now I can't unsee that. And
I can't unsee it. And the 9 isn't there for obvious reasons, because 7, 8, 9. Got it? Okay. Now and then on the the 3 o'clock dial, you have the month of the year, but instead of starting with the dot, the old one had a dot at the top, and then January was off to the right. I'll just to show you again.
Yeah, that I don't
Here's
mind.
it started with a dot, then you had January. So the first month of the year, technically, according to AP, used to be December, because
Yeah.
December was at the top, maybe. I don't know. Or
I think they were just going off of the, like, it's like a reset. That's why 52 was at the top too. Is that we're going back to zero. You know what I mean? So
52
the
is zero.
midnight is there.
52
You
is
know,
zero, or 52 is the last week of the year.
the 52 is the last week of the year.
See, that's the designing these perpetual calendars is not easy. But so they have January at the top, which I think kind of makes sense. Then they have the dot, then March, and all that stuff, and then they put the leap year indicator here, and they changed the 4 to an L, which I think is very intuitive now. So now you have 1, 2, 3 L.
Yeah,
for the leap
I don't
year,
mind
because,
that.
I think that's actually really helpful, because if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, which one's the leap year? 1 or 4?
Yeah, and a lot of people, unfortunately, they don't know. You know, so like the one issue with perpetual calendars, and the one gripe I have, is so many people I meet don't set the perpetual calendars. That's why this system is so important. But there are a lot of people who don't understand the moon phase situation, who don't understand the leap year situation for whatever reason. We're not going to talk about educations here, but it's nice that they made this a little bit easier for somebody to actually set it, know what's going on, and keep it going. But that 7 and 8, man, is just looking at me now. It's staring.
I know. We've just ended the poll, and let's see if I can even see the results. Okay, so we just ended the poll. We had 50 votes. 50 votes in the poll. The question was, now that the novelties have dropped, how likely are you to support AP? The winner of the poll is far less likely.
Wow.
With 37%. Far less likely with 37%. In second place was somewhat more likely with 25%. Then following that up was somewhat less likely, 23%, and far more likely had only garnered 11%. So if you add up the somewhat less likely and far less likely, that was 60% of the vote. So 60% of the vote was that it was they are somewhat less likely or far less likely to support their continued journey with AP. And only, let's see if I can do that. Oh, that's 60%, and only 40% roughly are more likely. Interesting.
This is actually, like, I hope, I don't know if you're gonna keep this stream public, but I hope somebody from AP actually watches this and sees this part of it, because a 50 vote poll from this community who are savvy watch buyers, you've kind of proven that, and people, quite a bit of you have APs or have the means to buy APs or have things similar to APs in your collection. I would take this as a fairly credible source of a poll. And like the numbers here are very interesting because people want to love the brand, and that shows that somewhat more likely they're 25%. But the far less likely combined with the somewhat less likely in the 60s is something any brand on your 150th anniversary that's an interesting poll. I really do hope somebody from AP stumbles upon this one day.
And we have an open invitation for Ilaria Resta if she wants to join us in New York for a dinner. We will assemble 5 of the top collectors in the community to share direct feedback with her on where to take the direction of the company. There's some strong opinions out there. I think she might benefit a lot from listening to the actual rank and file people in the community. And these are nobodies. These are people who have $500,000 collections, $1 million collections. They know what they want from the brands. And I think she should, especially with regards to the customer experience, she might be very illuminated.
If that alone could be improved, I think that would do amazing things. You you don't know what's left over Francois, what real power she has in terms of seeing her influence. But I do think customer service is one part they could improve upon. I do know like other CEOs do that all the time. I know like the CEO of Elan Sona, Wilhelm Schmidt, he, talks to big collectors all the time about their experiences, especially when he first joined on board. So it wouldn't be a bad thing. I'm sure she does, but it's interesting. Like, the top collector of AP today is probably so different than the top collector of AP 5-6 years ago. Right. So it'd be interesting to maybe she's doing that, but the feedback she's getting is just a little bit of different type of feedback.
Yeah, she's surrounded by people who listen. She's getting the feedback from she comes from P&G and from fragrances, and she's getting all the right data. But the data is pointing her in the wrong. The data is saying, listen, 50% of the people who buy Rolex are women, are ladies date justs, and small size date justs. She's looking at the data that say that 50% of the people who buy Cartier or even more are women, right? And so she's thinking, wow, that's such a huge untapped market. It's like 50% of the watches that Rolex sells, and they sell 1 million watches a year. Those are to women. How come we make 50,000 watches a year and we can't sell 10, 15,000 watches to women? We should be able to. I mean, if we're at 2%, how come we're not at 30%? We need to capture 30% of our sales should be to women. And so she's reading the data, but the data is kind of guiding her in a misleading direction. Maybe like she thinks like women are this massive untapped market, and that's what we should be doing. I don't know. Maybe there's some AP experts in the chat who can jump on and share their guidance for Ilaria.
I think women collectors have great power, and they do they do buy a lot. They don't like to be pandered to too much, and I think that you always have to define the one thing Cartier does really well by blending like watches and jewelry is their price point makes sense, right? And the problem you have here when you drop like whatever the smallest AP was at those prices, it just doesn't make sense. They just rather buy very high-end jewelry. You could get some Carrera, you could get something really dope for what you're charging because, if it's a woman collector who loves watches, she wants a real watch. If it's a woman collector or enthusiast, let's say, who just wants a watch, they're not gonna like, especially if their significant other is gonna buy it, they're not gonna spend XXX on a watch when they could just buy a bunch of jewelry and bags and stuff. And then as a significant other who buys watches for their, significant other on the feminine side, you want to kind of buy watches you like as well, and you're watching your pocketbook as well. You want to kind of get the watch, and then you get her watch as an addition because you still got to buy her something else. The numbers still have to make sense at the end of the day. So I think ladies watches or the female collecting group is huge and can be tapped into, but oftentimes they just want great watches that maybe are a little bit smaller size, but they don't want over jewelry pieces and things like that. And I think a brand like AP really has to figure out how to really translate that, because I love to see a lady wearing a Rolex Daytona. I think once you go past a certain part of 95, the Daytona is a lady's watch. In Miami, a Daytona is a lady's watch all day. They wear it, they rock it. It's beautiful, it's amazing. I love to see like a Daytona Beach with a lady. It's a nice bigger watch, but they make it work. And it's not aimed towards women. It's just a good looking watch. So I think AP needs to really do that for ladies. Don't make watches that are dainty and delicate but charge the same price you charge for a 36 millimeter. If you're going to make something dainty and small, make it a dainty and small price. If you don't want to price yourself there, then start a jewelry line. There used to be AP rings and all these things, but the best ladies watches are great men's watches that they steal from their husbands or they buy themselves. I don't want to say that, but oftentimes the Daytona started as a boyfriend's watch and they're wearing it, and all of a sudden you're buying a new Daytona or you're buying her the Ever Rose version or something like that. Hear that story so many times. I don't know. I just remember seeing when was in Alaska, a lot of Japanese and mainland Chinese clients were coming, and there was this very short, had to be like 4'7" mainland Chinese lady wearing like an AP offshore lingy, and it was so dope. It was so big, and she came, and you know what? It's so funny. We had ladies offshores. She didn't want them. She only wanted big watches, and we couldn't sell her anything. So you don't have anything big? She, oh, I don't want the diamonds, and she walked out. So I don't know. The ladies segment is one that a lot of brands struggle to tap into, because I just think, you know, they don't know how they don't know how to sell watches sometimes. I don't know.
Right. By the way, let's remind everybody not just to upvote, not only upvote the stream, but guys, this is a monetized channel. Support the channel with your dollars. You know, we're not doing this for free here. This is paid content. Reward me with your super chats for bringing CQ on the panel and working like a dog for free. Guys, he's volunteering his time for you. So please reward the channel with tons of super chats. We would really appreciate it. I also want to point out, do you have a favorite release of the novelties that they kind of showcased yesterday? Is there, like, here, this is the new steel perpetual in blue. What do you think of this one?
Well, now that you showed me the 7 and 8, and this is why I didn't want to dig too much into it. Like, now I can't unsee it. So
but there's nothing. But what's wrong with it? I mean,
well,
okay,
because like I prefer the 311 versus the 7 and 8. The 311.
I know, but that's okay. It's over. That's gone. I mean, does that mean that that's a deal breaker for all of these now?
So, you know, so for me personally, how I collect or how I look at watches is watches are a connection to the past, right? And sometimes, especially when you're dealing with very iconic watches that have such rich reference history, you don't change it if you don't need to change it. And I think they did such a great job with the leap year. They did a great job with Monday. They did a great job with the 24-hour. I love these little cone-like pointers they have instead of having shorter little hands there. I think everything else is great. But like, why change the 311? Who called for this, right? Who called for this? I just think, you know, so it would irk me. I get irked by weird things. I would buy this watch, I would wear this watch, but I would not, you know, die with this watch on my wrist, if that makes sense. Okay. I don't want to be morbid, you know. At the age of like 125, let's put that out there. Right, pull 125 on the beach, baby.
Here's an old one. This is the John Mayer.
Oh yeah,
fantastic watch, right? Gorgeous.
Yeah, very good watch.
So, this is the old, the previous movement. Is it better? Is it better? He did something interesting on this one where the 31, he did it as a small 3 and a small 1. You see that?
Oh yes.
Instead of
which
a
is
big 31.
Smart way to see. I would like that if you carried that on. So is John Mayer really a part of the design process or not?
Oh yeah, he designed it.
No,
he did
on this one, yeah, but not on the because isn't his position like creative director of the Royal Oak or like
he's something, but I doubt the perpetual calendar movement has been in development for 5 years. You know, they've been working on for 5 years to replace the current one. So I doubt he was involved in any way, shape, or form on the design of it.
Listen, if you got any pull and you're a watch guy, you say, hey, just keep you just do my little 3-1 thing. Because that's why he didn't do it, right? So at least the people in that design, you know, like it could have been stopped, but somebody was like, no, the dials are already printed, blah, 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 blah. And now you got, you know, you got us chatting about it on YouTube. You know, maybe this is what they wanted, actually. Well, you got what you want, AP. You got it.
By the way, huge shout out to the Jorn Identity who's in the chat.
Sure.
Will Rolex make a watch for Leonardo DiCaprio? You're aware of what's going on with Leonardo DiCaprio joining Rolex as a brand ambassador, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I could see them doing something slightly special, or let him have a watch that's his for a little bit, like how the Oscar watch, the Oscar Ombre Dial was out for a little bit. They could. I think if he wanted it, they'd do it for him. Um, they don't really do too much of bespoke things, but like I'm sure if you say, hey, can you do like give me a special dial? He's of that ilk, right? I'm sure some places in the Middle East and stuff, things get done all the time that you just will never ever see it. But I don't think it'd be super public, and it might be something that like we hear about in 5 to 6 years versus like something that's very, very public.
Mm-hmm. I hope that he walks on the red carpet with something that is new, that catches people's attention, that is
Yes.
it's I mean, Rolex doesn't typically do that. They don't typically slap, like Omega has been known to do that. They'll put a watch on Daniel Craig, like a white Speedmaster, and then people will spot it, and then 3 weeks later they'll come out with it, but they'll tease everybody with something from the red carpet. I hope that Rolex does that. I hope Rolex kind of captures this year, like the excitement, the exuberance. They do something bold. They do something innovative. I think 2 years ago, they introduced at the Academy Awards the slate ombre dial and the rose gold date 8. And here we are 2 years later. Maybe they come out with a new ombre version, and Leo, wears it on the red carpet, and people go, "Holy shit! What is that? Is that a different?" Is that a different dial? Or maybe he's wearing a platinum Submariner, or maybe he's wearing one of the new redesigned GMT Master 2. But I hope they take advantage of he is so big. People, I don't think, realize how big of a star Leonardo DiCaprio is. He can really, and when he gets spotted wearing a particular watch, that's going to be in all the mainstream media, not just watch industry media, but all the mainstream media. Rolex is really going to get their money's worth having him as an ambassador.
Yeah, I think he was a great choice for them. And like, he can be ambassador for the next 20 years. Maybe he'll bring the Yachtmaster back. Who knows? I hope they do the Daniel Craig and just like use him as a good platform to drop new watches. I think that was fun how the slate was dropped. That way it doesn't get leaked, right? Leak it yourself on a celebrity. Show it's how it's meant to be worn. And there was no negatives in when that was released. I hope they do the same thing, because I love how they do the Daniel Craig thing. It builds a little bit of a hype. You kind of figured out what's going on. The people who are that hyped to get it first will tell the SAA, like, whatever Danny Craig wears, make sure I get. But there's nothing wrong with some nice hype. And like you said, I like that idea of capturing energy. Like, that's what I'm looking for from AP. This is your 150th anniversary. This is a big anniversary. Give me the energy, because we know what Paddock does. Okay, we know like Paddock for their like 175th, all their anniversaries, the energy is so strong, you could feel it through the Instagram. And I just hope that for AP, because I'm a big fan of the brand. But that was a great word there, energy. I want to feel it.
Feel it, guys. Boston Collector says people hate. I'm assuming he's referring to AP here. People hate what they can't get. There are only a handful of people who are interested in AP, because most here are old, stodgy collectors who want vanilla, boring remakes.
It's so sad, because like, again, it sounds funny, but there are people in those buildings who are thinking just like that, and they're like, hey, we're just betting on new money here. It's easy. Just bet on the new money. That's what you do. You bet on the new generation. And they forget that, like, there's nothing else like collecting the same watch your dad liked, right? Or your uncle liked, or that impactful person in your life, or whatever, and that's what people end up collecting. Yeah, you end up jumping into different things, but you collect for so much different reasons than aesthetics, especially when you're talking these numbers. Under 20 grand, you buy what you want. Who gives, who cares, right? If you got it. But when you're talking about 100 grand, 50 grand, 40 grand, 60 grand, it has to speak to you, or it has to be financially relevant. The financial relevance is slowly eroding from AP, especially on the secondary market. So this is what we're going to see, is like how strong is that emotional connection they have with their collectors. Because that new generation, if there's another rocket ship brand right now, if there's a FP Journe targeted toward young people, or a new Richard Mille that's targeted toward young people that can catch that fire, they'll just eat AP's lunch up right now. And the old stodgy collectors will have already moved on, and they're not coming back. They'll just go secondary market. They're not coming back.
Good point. Interesting point. Do you guys agree? You guys agree with CQ? Let us know in the chat.
That's a good point by Jordan Identity there about they didn't want a Daniel Craig Omega. They wanted a Bond Omega. This is true. This is true.
By the way, there is a big Bond news. I saw, what was I believe Amazon has purchased the Bond franchise. Is that true? I thought I saw something about this.
I remember seeing something like the two producers who were like really tight. They ended up leaving, so everybody's a little bit worried because they were good custodians of the story. But I didn't dive too deep into it.
Amazon has reportedly purchased the James Bond franchise for $1 billion.
What was that?
Yeah, so
it's a good move.
Interesting development here. If anybody is interested in or knowledgeable about James Bond, feel free to jump on the panel. There's a place for you here. I also want to give a little bit of a shout out to some news that broke today. Famed Hollywood actor Gene Hackman, passed away in very mysterious circumstances today. I know many of you have read the news. Gene Hackman and his wife were found dead in their home in Santa Fe, New Mexico today. And if anybody wants to talk about what their theories are, feel free to share in the chat or jump on the panel. I have my own personal theories about what may have happened. Let me see if I can pull up an article that kind of summarizes.
I just want to say quick though, like look at these movies on the screen, and like I'm just looking at them, and like all of these movies impacted me. I'm a big fan of cinema, and I've always wanted to be a film director. And all of these movies, from Birdcage and Behind Enemy Lines, even The Replacement, even Heartbreakers, Ants, Enemy of the State, such great movies that I'm about to go on a Gene Hackman marathon. I forgot how great of an actor he was and how many great movies he was in. And R.I.P. man, R.I.P. to a great one. You know, got to a ripe age of 95, I believe. Very, very, very sad. The circumstances, like I didn't even want to go too deep into it because it's like Holmick says, CQ, how did ants impact me? Well, you know, ants impacted me in a very big way because it showed me that just in the era of like competition between A Bug's Life and Ants, and how there's so many great talented actors out there, and how you could tell basically the same story in two different ways. And as I said, I wanted to go to film school. I went to game design school and blah blah blah, but it really actually did. It sounds like I'm talking shit here, but like movies affect me in a very amazing way. Ants actually, you know, I can remember that most of that movie in my head, so it actually did have a big impactful moment for me in how I see things. And as you can see in how I talk very romantic and very creatively and things like that. And really goes back to me being home a long time by myself, watching great movies such as Ants. Great question.
There's so many incredible movies that he made over the many decades. I mean, 5-6 decades of acting. It's really incredible. TMZ is reporting here. Let's see if I can pull this up. Full autopsy report for suspicious deaths will take weeks. It'll be a while before we get the full story on Gene Hackman, his wife Betsy, and their dog's suspicious deaths, because TMZ has learned that even with the initial autopsy, the final report will take a few more weeks. Sources tell TMZ that after the autopsy is done by the New Mexico office of the medical investigator, it'll take 4 to 6 weeks for toxicology and other tests to come through before the final report is issued. Authorities have been super puzzled over their deaths, making a note of how Gene's front door to his New Mexico property was open when they entered for the search warrant of their house. Now, when they say open, does that mean unlocked, or was it actually ajar I haven't seen any clarification on that. But when they say open, does that mean that it was actually the door was open, or was it just unlocked? They noted how Betsy was found in the bathroom along with a space heater and pills. And it looked like she had been dead for a while. Her body was in a state of decomposition with facial bloating and mummification in her hands and feet. What's more, the heater was right next to her corpse and the pills were scattered nearby. Police say Jean was found in a separate room. The deceased German Shepherd was found 10 to 15 feet away from Betsy, while 2 other dogs were found alive and healthy, one inside the house and the other outside. The fire department checked the scene and said they didn't find any signs of carbon monoxide leak or poisoning. Once the final report is in, we'll get some more answers and the mystery will finally be solved. Very fascinating and suspicious circumstances here. Pills thrown across the floor. They're in separate rooms. There's a space heater, but no signs of carbon monoxide leaks. There's one dead dog, but the 2 other ones are alive. I don't know what your theories are, guys, but this is interesting, to say the least.
Yeah.
I have my own personal theories, and just I want to say that the views and opinions expressed by Original OC do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of other panelists or the Original OC channel, but I think they should follow the money. And the first thing they should do is look at the will, because I think he had kids from a previous marriage. And I think that he was 95 years old and she was 65.
I was going to ask you how big the age gap was.
30-year age gap. So maybe, I mean, I'm just floating an idea here, guys. Don't get your panties in a ruffle. But let's just say there was a son, and the children were all from a previous marriage. Let's say this, and by the way, I think his oldest son was 65, the same age as his wife. So he's gone throughout his entire life. I don't know the guy, but he's gone through his whole life waiting for, it sounds bad, waiting for his dad to kick the bucket. Or waiting for him to get his hands on, a $50 million fortune, $100 million fortune, who knows how much. And finally realizes, you know what, I'm never going to get it. And when my dad dies, it's all going to go to her anyway. Maybe there's a terrible accident at the house. I don't know. Just one of many theories that could be here. Or maybe there was maybe he was terminally ill and he decided to commit suicide, and she came home, found him there, and she ended her life as well. And the dogs ate the pills that were on the floor. And I don't know, but it's definitely weird.
Yeah, that's a weird situation. It's ages and everything, and I don't know. Who am I to speculate? It's weird. R.I.P. man, gone too soon. But glad you.
Now I will tell you what my favorite. This is ranked by popularity. I will tell you what my favorite Gene Hackman movies are. Okay, now in the top line, Unforgiven was good. It was okay. I did like Enemy of the State. I thought he was fantastic with Will Smith.
That was a great
in
movie.
Enemy of the State. By the way, you guys type in the chat your favorite Gene Hackman movie. On the second line, The Firm for me was incredible. I love The Firm. Although his role in it wasn't that big. Really, Tom Hanks was the star of that. I thought Gene Hackman in No Way Out was phenomenal. That's a great movie. Kevin Costner, Sean Young, and Gene Hackman. That's a great thriller.
I need to watch that. I don't think
you haven't seen No Way Out. That's an amazing movie. Absolutely terrific. You definitely watch No Way Out. Now, and then the third one, of course, Crimson Tide.
Yes.
With Denzel Washington. A lot of people don't like submarine movies, but that is just an absolute killer movie, one of my favorite movies of all time, Crimson Tide. There's some killer scenes, very tense scenes between Denzel Washington's character and Gene Hackman's character there. They're on a nuclear submarine. It's very high stakes, high drama. And then, of course, let's not forget that Gene Hackman was in the original Superman in 1977, I believe it was, right? Gene Hackman was, I can't remember who he played. Did he play Lex Luthor in the original Superman? But those are the ones that stand out for me. Those 4 or 5. Let's go through the chat.
Not much misses on this as well. He did good. He didn't really he didn't do too many misses.
No, I don't think there's a bunch of bombs in here as far as I know. A lot of people, The French Connection from 1971, by the way, I don't even remember that movie, but apparently that's a very pivotal role for him in his career.
I'm gonna watch this weekend.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if you've typed in the chat there. Hoosiers, obviously. I don't know.
Oh, yes.
I don't know Hoosiers. Gene Hackman's best movie ever. Journ Identity says The French Connection. No second place. I just mentioned that from 1971. I'm not familiar with the movie, but maybe I'll go back and watch it. But because it is considered one of his kind of landmark roles. Skip Intro says Terminator 2. I don't think he was in Terminator 2. Come on, Skip Intro. He was, I think Skip Intro's favorite Gene Hackman movie is The Birdcage. The Birdcage. Yes, Superman as Lex Luthor. Buckley says French Connection is the best. Logan Hall says The Conversation was great. I'm not familiar with The Conversation. Maybe I've seen it. It does sound familiar. What year was that from?
1974.
Okay.
All right, Logan with a deep cut. The Conversation.
Chalk Flew Up from The Firm. John D says he had a cameo in Young Frankenstein. Okay. Let's see. Oh, he won an Oscar for The French Connection. Shows how much I know. I was very, very young when that movie came out. Hey, Mississippi Burning, says JD and
strong.
Skip Intro. JD. Skip Intro. Mississippi Burning. Yeah, that was the one about the racial tensions in the South, I believe. Something like that. Whole Milk says Birdcage is great, but Gene doesn't do much. And then Buckley, contrarian view here. Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor was horrendous. Jeez, that's a way to spit on the guy's legacy. As soon as he dies. Jeez. Oh, The Firm also stinks. Really? Jeez, Buckley. It's harsh. I think The Firm was good. Tom Hanks, and yeah, it was good. I like that one. Enemy of the State was a great premonition of the future. Yeah, the ability to track people and use technology to kind of, like NSA style high tech stuff. And PG says Happy Gilmore. Was he in Happy Gilmore? Come on.
Was he?
Come on.
Maybe for a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised.
All right. There's over 60 people watching, which is
upstream. Upvote.
Upvote the show. We got over 40 likes, so you guys are good there. But let's. What do you guys want to talk about? I'm out of topics. I'll be honest with you. So someone has to jump on the show, take us in a new direction. I think we've talked about these AP releases to death. I think by the end of the week, we should be able to forget all about these releases and turn our focus to Vacheron and into Rolex for heading into Watches and Wonders.
That's creeping up. It's creeping.
It's creeping up. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop the link to join the panel in the chat. Guys, don't be shy. Let's go for someone jump on the panel. Maybe we'll go for another 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Ask a question in the chat. Ask a watch guy.
Ask a question. CQ's here. CQ the watch guy. can definitely ask a question, and he will answer it because he's here. The Mall is in the chat with a flamingo blue highlighted comment for CQ. Okay, this is tough. Your Rolex and Vacheron predictions for 2025.
This is actually very tough because on the Vacheron side, it would have been easy to do the 222 and steal, but that's already out of the bag. So I don't know. I mean, it would be fun to see them do something interesting with the overseas, but we just got the green dials. So they're in an interesting year where I don't know what they'll release. I have a feeling maybe another interesting 1921, that Middle Eastern piece has kind of been floating around there. But this is one of those years where the 222 is their tentpole release of the year. So they can really drop anything. On the Rolex side, I would love to see this. I doubt this will happen. I think the Coke is the most obvious thing, but they might just fake us out because, somebody over there has a weird fetish for that type of stuff. I'd love to see the 1908 with a stone dial, that Malachite dial, that monochrome watch is made. I think perfect, and it just fits with Rolex. Like stone dial 1908, stone dial Rolex's work. Why not? I think a Coke, I don't see why not. Unless it's the bezel thing, which might be a thing, just because I know the history with the bezels and just my history with all these cracked Pepsi bezels. I could understand that red pigment is very, very hard to do. So, but I would love a statement from them saying, hey, listen, the only reason we're not giving you Coke is because we want to make sure the bezels are perfect and we don't want to have Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3 bezels. And then I'd leave them alone until they perfect it. But then I also mentioned that Hublot has not perfected different color code. So, step your game up. They just did a gold deep sea. Titanium deep sea might be interesting. A titanium Yachtmaster with a meteorite dial would be fun. Yeah, I don't know. They're in a good position as well. Maybe a different variation of the puzzle dial would be very interesting. What I'd love is a 1908 with some type of complication. Even a moon phase would be really, really good.
Mm-hmm. Good question, Vimal. Appreciate that.
Yeah, very nice.
By the way, I want you to get your feedback on, let's see. I was going to pull up something, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, okay. Check this out. You know who Moses the jeweler is, right?
Yeah, Chef Moses.
Chef, he's chefing with Moses. He did a video where he revealed his personal collection, and I want to get your reaction to it. So take mental notes. This is Moses's personal collection.
My personal collection. Here it is. Not the biggest collection, but it's good quality stuff. I'm gonna start off with my favorite. Factory 8P frosted with the factory diamond bezel skeleton.
By the way, if you want me to stop, just say pause and I'll stop it. But what do you think of this one?
I don't know. Oops. I'm trying to decide.
Go ahead.
All
right.
Personal collection.
All right. Here we go.
Everyone asks about my personal collection. Here it is. Not the biggest collection, but it's good quality stuff. I'm going to start off with my favorite. Factory 8P.
All right. Factory 8P frosted gold with the open worked with the diamond bezel.
Yep. Double bounce as well. Great watch. So the problem with this video is I don't know him personally, right? So I don't want to say if it is his watch or not his watch. So I don't want to, I don't want to say that. This is a great watch to have in anybody's collection. If you're a dealer, it's a great watch. But just for me knowing the value of this watch and how this watch trades, I could see this being something that's just stuck in your inventory and you're saying it's your watch, but it's not a watch that you wear.
Oh, you're so cynical.
So
skeptical.
I'm sorry. It's after 9 p.m. And I'm a big Moses fan. I love what he's doing, but sometimes when I see these videos and because if I'm a dealer, what's my inventory?
You're doubting that this is his personal
No,
collection.
no, hey, I'm just saying, like,
This is just watch number one. Okay, it's watch number one.
Let's keep it going.
All right.
P frosted with the factory diamond bezel skeleton. This one just had a very good gambling night in Mohegan Sun. I won very big money, so I got myself this RM Bubba Watson. But this is a limited edition, Japanese edition. Only 40 pieces worldwide. The difference is the blue crown, the white end lining, and the black sides.
I'm
What do
sorry.
you think of that one?
First of all, I love the watch. The Bubba is my favorite. I love this watch when it was under 80,000. I really love this watch.
What do you mean under 80,000.
Original Bubba. The original Bubba was there way back. I'm talking about like 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. No. I've been in this game long enough to see when Richard Milles were like, like not what it, like imagine me seeing this watch at 375. I know this one's a Japanese exclusive, but I'm sure if I worked hard, I could find like a listing of an old Bubba under 100. Of course, this is 10 years ago, but the watch is basically the same watch. And notice what I always say when I talk about people who are speaking about Richard Mille, what are we talking about? The colors. We're not talking about how beautiful the movement is. We're not talking about how light the material is. The color of the crown is why I'm buying the watch. Just saying. Just saying. It's after 9, so we're getting the zero filter CQ right now.
Yep. Let's keep going.
Of course, classic. This is my beach piece. Whenever it's summertime, I'll throw this on. My Daytona Beach, all factory. Comes with the green lizard strap and green dial in white gold.
Nice.
Great.
Collector needs a date 40. Presidential links, gorgeous green dial. That's my favorite. But a true collector piece in every collection. Saru GMT, all factory gem set. Comes with they call it Saru for Sapphire Ruby. So Saru, S-A-R-U, Sapphire Ruby, and the diamond bezel. Gorgeous piece, heavy piece, very hard to find. And this one I got for my 1 million followers, my Daytona Leopard. And you guys can start your own collection also, starting tomorrow.
All right. So that's his personal collection. It's the frosted gold, the Bubba Watson, the Beach Daytona, the yellow gold Date 8 with the green dial, the Saru GMT Master, and the Leopard Daytona.
Great watches.
Yeah, they're good watches, and they're all factory. None of is got. But for someone who does a lot of custom jewelry and a lot of bust downs, he's smart enough to, like in his personal collection, to not have any of that garbage.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no other way to to put it. Great watches. Also good watches that would be sitting around a dealer for a long time and be good to make content with as well. But not to say those could really be his watches, and those are all watches I could see myself owning. So I can't talk smack about that. Yeah.
Happy Meal, $5 super chat. CQ, will there be another Chefin' with Moses this weekend? Mazal Brisket. Hey, it looks like there were only 2 episodes of Chefin' with Moses. Maybe he's taking a hiatus. Maybe he didn't get the kind of reaction that he wanted. Maybe he will do another one soon. But we'll do it. If he does another one, we'll do another reaction. Maybe.
I hope he can make the pivot, man. He seems like he has good showmanship, and I wish I could talk to him and give him a consultation, because I think like if he has a great showmanship, if he would just lean into education and maybe talk a little bit more about jewelry construction and focus on that, I think he'd really get where he wants to be. But maybe he has a whole nother plan. Who am I? I just feel like he has a great platform, but like I don't know the point of this video. You know what I mean? And I think he's about to do like a raffle, right? Is what's happening.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to give away a watch or something. But
yeah, okay.
Vibal asks a question. CQ, what's the lowest priced Richard Mille you have seen in your career?
Oh, I'd say like those RM16s used to go low, man. So I probably
Those are the round ones.
The flat ones, the flat ones, I've seen those in the 30s, way back. I'm talking about way back. The round ones as well, especially if not the DC hands, which has a unique complication. Those are like 20, 30s, 40s back in the day. These watches are great watches, but there was no thing about them. There's unique watches that were catching a little bit of hype, but like all watches are trading well below retail. Never in a million years would I have thought, that they'd be where they are today. Well, if I'd have bought them all, I'd have figured out a way to buy them all, right? Same thing with Jordan. But listen, this was a time when I was seeing those prices for Richard Milles. Panerai pieces were going 2x retail, and now they're not 2x retail. So the watch world is an interesting place. But there's many stories of Richard Milles sitting in showcases. I know a very good friend who's a big dealer, and got into a great argument with his family member about Richard Mille and like, why do we have these watches? And then suddenly somebody bought all of them one day. It's just one of those things.
Skip Intro says the chefin videos takes lots of effort and preparation, and food poisoning takes some time to recover from. Thank you.
Don't say that.
It's not nice. That's not nice, Skip Intro. And Happy Meal.
Okay.
Happy Meal reminds us that that Chefin with Moses only uses free-range dill-fed beefs. It's true. Free range, and infused with lots of dill. Red Skank by the pool. This is an inside joke.
Okay.
CQ, what's your favorite watch to wear to the pool to attract ladies like me?
I mean, like all you ever need to attract ladies by a pool is an Aquanaut rose gold. That's the only watch you ever need. It just does it. Just trust me when I say that.
Diego was wearing an Aquanaut, a steel Aquanaut, by the pool over the weekend. Was a steel Aquanaut suffice, or is that not flashy enough?
It'll do it, but the rose gold. So here's the thing with attracting ladies. Like I'll give you some free game tonight, guys. So here's the thing when you're trying to attract ladies, especially in like a high empowered environment, you're in a luxury vibe, a lot of beautiful models and things going around. You want the thing that nobody else has, right? So the steel Aquanaut, the odds are just a little bit higher that somebody else has that. But when you walk in with the rose gold Aquanaut, the guys look at your wrist. Then the girls look at the guys who are looking at the wrist, and you immediately achieve Sigma status on anybody who's looking at your wrist because they're looking with envy, So when you wear the rose gold Aquanaut, you just improve your percentages of, hitting the target you're trying to hit, and being the biggest lion in the Serengeti at the time. I offer all type of consultation services.
That's right. It's not just watch collection expertise. It's also life. He's a life coach. He's a relationship coach, dating expert.
I do it all.
All right. Let's see. Any other topics or questions for CQ? Also dropping the link to join the panel. Let's. We have over 50 people watching. I don't want to let you guys down and end the show. So the upvotes are phenomenal. You guys are amazing tonight. I know we want to give you as much entertainment on this Thursday night as possible. Keep the questions coming, and we'll go as long as you want us to. But we need questions. We need content. Here, by the way, are the 3 new perpetual calendars introduced by AP. On the left, stainless steel with the blue dial. In the middle, we have sand gold, which is AP's kind of proprietary gold alloy with an interesting dial. And then on the right, the new code 1159 perpetual, same movement, but the stamped dial, not the tapisserie dial in the code. Question from Vimal: is there anything Panerai can do to salvage its brand, or is it too late?
I mean, it's never too late if you have the money. and the willpower and the right people to do it. I think they're actually doing a very interesting job with their experience. I think that's what they call it. The series of watches where you buy the watch, you get a trip to Italy, you get on the Eileen, you go with the Navy SEALs, you go to Antarctica and things like that. And I think that's serving the Panaristi crowd, because the Panaristi crowd is still there. They've just been through a lot, so they're not throwing their money at the brand. But if you tie in different things, they'll throw it in. The problem that Panerai has, and like they need to acknowledge it, is they're based on a few watch designs from the 50s or 40s or whenever. And like you can only make that pony, run so far. And the Due line wasn't the most receptive. Then there's a little bit of revisionist history. So you got a lot of people out there saying they don't want to really lean into their true history. So I really don't know what you can do, especially with the retail prices of all watches now. It's really hard. I think on the secondary market, I love Panerai, and the prices that it's insane. Panerai Pan 438, the Tutanero, all ceramic. I used to sell that in the 20s. I can get it for 8,500 full set right now on Chrono 24 without negotiating. So I think they gotta take care of their pre-owned problem, and they have to find a hit. I don't know how you find a hit when you only play a certain type of music. How they can find a hit that can really transcend. I don't think the duo was super bad, but they're just in a play. They need to be an independent. They need to be sold. To be honest with you, they need to be sold off and become a nice little boutique brand where they make good watches and they make a profit. But I just don't think it's a concept, to be honest with you, that can just print growth year over year on a consistent basis. It's just a very kind of niche product that is with a big group, so it needs to produce too much. But when you look at all their SKUs and compared to the references that have been made in the past 10 years, there's so much overlap. And then when they go complicated, it looks cluttered. So it's like you go complicated, it looks cluttered. You make it thin, you're telling me it's not a Panerai. I do the Mare Nostrum, you tell me that's not a Panerai. So like they're stuck. I don't know what I think things can be done, but like that's probably the biggest challenge in watches right now, is turning Panerai into, I'd rather be at the helm of Hublot than Panerai, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Which it may not.
No, I think it does. I think Hublot has a much strong. By the way, I predicted today. It's a kind of a bold prediction, but I think this could be the year that LVMH kills off Zenith. I think Zenith is in such a bad spot. I think there's a risk that they're going to perform so bad this year that by the end of the year, LVMH pulls the plug on them.
So, as much as I want to disagree with you, I always think about Jacques Dro. And like, a lot of people might know Jacques Dro or whatever, but you don't know that they're not shipping watches out. They're a bespoke watch company now. So they're a group brand, their Swatch group. They were one time hailed as their most innovative brand. And now how you get watches, you go to jacquesdro.com and like I don't know how the process goes, but you just directly buy them from. They just stopped ADs, right? But the brand still exists. So now there's a new concept in my hand of, brands just kind of slowing down production, but you can still get them. And I can, Zenith has such a storied history, but again, it's one of those brands where, how much growth can you extract out of Zenith? It's a great independent company. You can make a lot of profit from Zeniths and reeditions and just pimping out the El Primero, on Sunset every day. But in terms of growing it 20%, 30% over the next 5-10 years, Zenith's just not a brand that's going to give you that. People don't care about movements. People don't care about the El Primero story anymore. So as much as like in my heart, I want to be like, you're crazy, OC, like things like that can't happen. Like that's a storied brand, blah, 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 blah. I could easily see them making an announcement saying, hey, listen, Zenith's going to be a very boutique brand. If you want it, online only. We're going to keep, 10 really nice Zenith boutiques only open, but it's not a big focus of our business as we focus on, the LVMH product and things like that. It sounds crazy until you look around, and I'm telling you, we're past the point of no return for retail prices. None of these brands want to reduce their pricing. They will eventually, but after a lot of blood is in the water. Like, in my opinion, look at the list in front of you. There's not many brands here I would buy in the primary market. And if I bought on the primary market, I need a discount, and if I'm not getting a discount, I need amazing service. Like literally Rolex, Cartier, AP Patek, RM. Everything else I want a discount, or I'm buying secondary. Like even VC. Okay, I don't want a discount, but like, man, I didn't want to get into that, but I've been hearing stories from them too, and it's slowing down. The sugar is slowing down. People throwing money at you for no reason. It's slowing down. And I think a lot of brands are not really seeing it. But again, I'm somebody who just came from telling you I was selling Bubba Watsons under 100, and I was selling Panerai 2.5 times retail. And they were selling. It wasn't like I was hawking them somewhere. It was like they were moving like hotcakes. So anything can happen in this industry. And I think we're in an interesting place. Let's say that.
Let me see if I can pull up. I thought I had it here, the report for 2025. Let me find that, because I was pulling up some numbers from the last year. Morgan Stanley, 2025.
Yeah, see, like they're talking about Panerai, they're comparing Panerai to AP. At least AP, the platform was a little bit different. And they didn't start to be a one-trick pony until the past 6 years. But if you're a Panerai designer, you really are like I'm going to the boss like, hey, like we're done. I don't know what else we can do. We can make some nicer movements. We can but like in terms of the looks and that's what happened, right? They started to reproduce their base movements, just a newer movement, their base watches with newer movements. Oh man.
Yeah. As you can see here, I think one of the biggest failures for 2024, and Whole Milk and Julius Caesar point this out in the chat, is that Tudor fell like a rock from 240,000 units or 255,000 units or something like that to 160,000 units. I mean, they dropped like 90,000 units, something crazy like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah. What is your, so that's a leading KPI of something. What is it that tells you?
So think about it, right? For the past 2 to 4 years, I know you personally are not a fan of Tudor, but for the past 2 to 4 years, commercially, they've been very, very successful. And pretty much everything they release, 4 years from the Black Ceramic, Black Bay on down has been great. The Black Bay 58, the monochrome Chronos, all these things, everybody loved them. Everybody appreciated them. People went out and buy. And from the outside looking in, you think that's a fairly popular watch, right? Even on the pre-owned market, Tudors moved very, very well. You saw the prices coming down on the secondary market. You saw them calming down a little bit closer to retail, like where they are now. And there definitely was a peak during the COVID market where even the 925s were going well above retail. But to see in data that is it a 40% drop? No, right?
It was about a 35% drop.
To see in the data that there's a 35% drop in Tudor, which is mid-range price point. All markets enjoy Tudor. They make a variety of pieces and their watches should sell, right? So if I'm an AD right now and I have all these brands, right? And I see Tudor took a 35% hit, it's not because of the flamingo blue. It's not because of the blowback from the pink dial. Something larger is happening where people are not looking at that market. Now, micro brands are in there. So there are a lot of brands that are saturated in that space, but still, Tudor's baby Rolex. So that should do really, really well. And to see such a stark drop year over year, I think it's coming for a lot of brands. I think a lot of brands forgot customer service. They treated a lot of enthusiasts badly who went on the secondary market. And now they're really seeing a situation where you do not need people don't need you. They don't need to buy. VC is a great example. I'm working with one of my clients right now, and they kind of dangled some things in front of him, right? They dangled some options and things in front of him. And he's like, yeah, you got to buy this and this. And listen, it's okay. The game is a game. Money is money. But this was a qualified person who's going to spend. And he said, all right, I always tell people, you go in, you talk to your SA, you make a plan, a realistic plan. What do I have to buy to get this? Let's be real. Let's get the manager involved. Let's look up my LinkedIn, everything. Made a plan. You saw a certain watch being floated around Reddit and stuff like that. I won't kind of be vague here. And then all of a sudden it's like, crickets. And he's like, hey, he's about to spend like a good chunk of change, wasn't demanding for anything crazy, was offered this unique piece, right? Was offered it, didn't go out seeking this piece. And like, it kind of got pulled from under him for no reason. And it's like, okay, I told him like, well, that was really the only watch you needed to buy other watches to get. If you want a 222, just wait a little bit. It'll go to retail. Don't buy it overseas. They're under retail. Buy it secondary market. You know what I mean? So literally everything else, I broke down why, like, if you're getting the experience now, when you're about to spend a couple $100,000, right? And they're jerking you around now, why even mess with it? Why not just go on the secondary market, get your watches, go on with your business, often from great people who give you like an amazing experience. And I think that's happening over a lot of these brands behind the scenes, and people are just fed up with it. And you don't have the protection anymore of the flippers. The flippers are gone. That economy is gone. You know what I mean? Like that,
Yep.
It's funny. Like I'm starting my new thing, and like everybody's like, oh, you're like a dealer. I'm like, no, why would I be a dealer right now? Why would I just start and become a flipper right now or a dealer? That's dead. You know what I mean? You have to be doing something very, very specialized. And I think all these brands are feeling that effect.
Good point. I mean, geez, Tudor, Panerai, these are tough situations here. But I think I'm going to stick with my prediction. I know it's difficult for a big conglomerate to discontinue a brand, even if they're not super profitable. But I think Zenith has got to be on the chopping block this year. Yeah. I think they have to.
Something has to go.
Something has to go at LVMH
because they're bleeding in their other segments, and they're going to just keep investing in their high-end watchmaking. And if you're looking at Tag Heuer, that's probably still performing. Hublot, we talk smack, that's still performing somewhat, I'm sure. Bulgary's up, Tag's up. So like Zenith is really the one that's like, and when have they released something besides a reproduction that really made you, feel good in the pits of your tummy?
Nothing. Whole Milk says it's there's a tough price point, but Tag Heuer has done well. Actually, they're on the rise. I think they're with the F1 sponsorship and LVMH pouring tons of money into them. They're in an okay position. What's your thought on how everybody's rushing to open these mono brand boutiques? I mean, you can't walk down. When I was in Boston last year, I think it was May of last year, we walked down that very ritzy street, Newbury Street, and I was shocked at how many mono brand watch boutiques there were. There's like most of those stores barely get any customers. I mean, the watch stores are stores for like 0.1% of retail shoppers go into a watch store. Why were there 15 watch stores on that street? It makes no sense. What do you think about this idea of every brand, like IWC has to have them, and Panerai has to have it, and JLC, everybody has to have their own store? Why is that really a thing?
So what you got to remember, right? A lot of the brands that you're mentioning pulled out from so many ADs, right? A lot of these ADs have gone out of business. A lot of these ADs don't sell watches anymore, so you can't approach them. A lot of these brands have a lot of watches to sell. Even Goldberg Jewelers, right? Before it turned into 1916 and Watchbox and all that, which still exists at Goldberg Jewelers. But, Richemont pulled out from there when I was, that was like 2017, 2018. AP pulled out from there, from one of the bigger Northeastern dealers. You know what I mean? So for years and years, they've been pulling out of ADs who sold a lot of units, right? Because they wanted to clean up things or whatever. And now this is what happened. Where are you going to sell your watches? You can't sell watches online. You don't know how to. That's the one thing, right? People think selling watches is a very easy task until you have to sell watches consistently, right? It's been something I've struggled my whole career to really like get through people's head, right? It's not that easy to sell watches. Some watches sell themselves, but not most of them, right? So you need the boutiques, right? I'm sure the commercial real estate is a little bit cheaper right now. So you need the boutiques. You try to sell the watches, because I tell you right now, if I'm in an AD, I'm not rushing to sell Hublot. I'm not rushing to sell many of these watches out there. So you need dedicated staff to really try to push the needle and try to make something happen. Whether they'll be successful or not is the bigger issue, right? Because a lot of these people don't know how to sell watches. They're not super educated. They're more selling you on this exclusivity than the value of the watch, right? And the retail pricing, again, is crazy, So I'd rather them say, hey, we're slashing retail prices or creating some type of, hey, we're buying product back off the pre-owned market or something like that, versus more boutique. So I love a good boutique, right? I'm a big retail guy. I love great experience. And I think a well-primed boutique, especially when you go to like the Middle East and different international areas where you get just like top level service paired with top level educated salespeople, nothing makes you want to spend your money more. But I don't think that's something that's being replicated successfully around the US and the globe. So I don't know what's the strategy there. I do know one thing is, like, they've clipped a lot of ADs, right? And now they need I do know like a lot of groups are going back to certain, they're hearing rumors where they might open up some doors again, So you never know.
Whole Milk says watch brands don't know what to do, so they just copied the Jean-Claude Biver playbook. It's interesting. Yep. There is a podcast that is out right now called Acquired. Are you familiar with this podcast?
No, I thought you were going to say the Wrist Check Boys. They like which one's Acquired? No, who's on that?
I actually don't listen to it, but let me see here.
Is it with JCB?
No, it is not with JCP. Okay. But there's an article on Hodinkee about it. I was referred to this by a friend. It says, clear your calendar. Acquired's epic 5-hour history of Rolex has arrived. So there's a podcast called Acquired, and they go through the histories of companies like IKEA, Hermes, American Express, or whatever. Okay. And they do these very, very long, detailed podcasts about them. So there's a 5-hour podcast about the history of Rolex. Just go to whatever your podcasting platform is. I did it on Spotify. Just type in Acquired Rolex and you'll get that podcast. You do need to concentrate because, I'm not a big audio person. So for me to concentrate on something audio-wise is kind of hard. So you have to kind of clear your mind a little bit and set aside some time. But I did go through all 5 hours of it over the past 3 or 4 days. And there are a bunch of interesting nuggets and insights about Rolex. A little bit of it is wrong. Some of it is wrong. Some of it is opinion. Some of it is perspective. But there's also some facts in there. And I do recommend that you do a search for this on your favorite podcasting or streaming platform. Again, the name of the podcast is called Acquired, and just just Google Acquired Rolex, Spotify, or Apple Music, or whatever your podcast platform is, and you'll find it. And it was pretty good stuff about the history of Hans Wilsdorf and Rolex. Whole Milk says Acquired is a general business podcast. So there you go. Okay. Vamal asks, and then I think I know the answer to this. I'll CQ and then I'll answer as well. Do you think some of these weaker brands will cut prices? At some point, they have to blink, right?
I don't know. That's a tough question. As somebody who's I'm currently working I'm getting my first corporate client, and pricing is interesting, right? Because a lot of people, once you go back, it's hard to go up. Once people see you doing discounts, it's very, very weird. So you kind of pencil yourself in with whatever price you put. I do think, if you can, you should build a value to meet the price, right? But I think a lot of brands should look at cutting pricing depending what the watch is and what's the value you can really give somebody for that watch. And like, is a network there? Is a community there? What's the real value? Because there's too much, especially when you're talking these newer brands. It's just so cluttered. Every day there's a new watch. And it's like, I think the copy watch brands, they got to do something there. I think if you have an honest story and you're really trying to do something innovative and your pricing makes sense, I think you'll be okay. But you really have to do a good job telling your story. I think right now we're going to get into a phase of, brands with good staff, good storytelling will really succeed. And it's the brands who don't know how to tell their stories will just sink to the bottom of Chrono 24 for a little bit. It'll rise again, but I just think, I don't know. I think they should. Cut prices, but just from history, it takes so much for brands to cut prices that they really just end up discounting. And I think discounting is the death of any brand, because once I see it at 30 off, it's hard for me to buy it at retail. Brands have come back from that. Certain brands like Omega, but they're so big and they have. They can do it. A lot of smaller brands can't say, hey, we're going to drop prices by 30%. They'll never be able to walk back up to where they originally were. But they should strategically.
Got it. Guys, I want to thank every single person for tuning in to the show today. I want to really thank CQ for jumping on. I want to now redirect your attention to the Franchise Club, which is another channel in the YouTube space. Check out their channel. They just started a live stream at 9:30 Eastern. Click on the link that's in the chat. Tell them that OC sent you. Make sure you upvote on this stream on your way out. I want to thank everybody for watching, CQ for jumping on, and St. Peter for his member milestone chat. I also want to thank them all and Happy Meal for their super chats. Hope you have an amazing Thursday night, guys. If you want to jump on, we'll do a quick after show. So we'll do a VIP after show. Click on the link in the chat. I'll drop the link to the VIP after show here. You can hang out with CQ and myself for a few minutes, or head on over to the Franchise Club. Tell them that OC sent you. You guys have a great night. Thanks so much. Peace out.